Welcome back to Computer Applications. This is Mrs. Hoffman, and we're going to spend some more time on Google Spreadsheets today. We're going to review some formulas, and we're also going to learn the count function. We're going to learn how to insert comments and discussion with cells, and creating series and adding a picture and image onto your spreadsheet. So I've had this spreadsheet, and I just changed it up a little bit to enhance it a little bit. I added the cost per flower on here, and then I've got the total sales, average, lowest, and highest, and then number of students selling each type, which we'll get to with the count function here in just a second. So the and the payment received here, actually I'm going to clear these out of here. We don't need those in there right there. Okay, so the spreadsheet, as you can see, shows how many flowers each student sold, and I started off by just plugging in some formulas, and so we're just going to review this just for a second here. To get the total number that each student sold, I'm going to use the sum function. This is my function, and then the range of cells that are being affected is my argument. And so I type equals sum B4 colon D4, and that gives me, and hit enter, and then that gives me 11. I'm going to go ahead and use my fill handle, the crosshair in the bottom right hand corner, to fill this formula down so I can get a total for each one. For total sales would be the dollar amount. That would be the number of plants sold, cell E4, you always want to use cell references, times obviously the amount per plant, which in this case is $5. And then I formatted that cell to be currency, which is why there's the dollar sign. And then I'm going to fill this one down here. So I'm just going to type in some random amounts. Actually, I have a formula here that takes and subtracts the amount, the total sales minus any payment that's been received. So in this case, because there's 0 there, the amount due is 55, and I can just fill this formula down as well. Now if I go ahead and add in some payments that people might have made, notice that the amount, so this is the great representation of the what if scenario. So I have a formula here, and what if I change one part of that formula, how does that impact the result in that cell now? And I can continue to do that and continue to change it, and it updates each time. So I'm just going to type in some numbers here. And then the amounts will update, and we'll see what they are. So now we can see how much is due from each student. Down the bottom here, I have formulas for the total number of sales for each kind, the average sales for each kind. Lowest would be min, highest would be max. And so as I click in these cells, you can see I use the sum function for the total sales. That is showing me the total number of white. That makes sense. I'm in the white column. That's the range of cells I use, B4 through B11. So it's adding up all those cells there, and I can drag this over for all of the red and the pink. And the same thing with the average. I use the average. So the average function is already taking the total amount and dividing it by the number of cells that have values in them, and to give you the average. So the average white that was sold was 5, and I'm going to extend that over. And I can change this so it's less decimal points, and I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. Lowest is min. That means what was in this range of cells, what was the lowest amount of white poinsettias sold. In this case it's 2. I can find out the lowest for red and the lowest for pink. And what was the highest, and that's using the max function. And same thing, so I'm going to fill this over. Oops. And there we go. So now if I want to use the count function, this is a new function we haven't played with yet. The purpose of the count function is basically to count the number of cells in a range that are not blank, that have no values in them, and that have no text, that just have numbers in them. So count only counts cells that have numbers in them. So how many students sold white poinsettias? I can do equals count, and then choose my range. I mean, it's easy to see here, easy enough, but it's a great way to teach the count function. And so I see 6 because 2 of my students, Andrea and Marley, did not sell any white poinsettias. And so it's looking at this range of cells and it's saying 6 of the cells in this range have numbers in them. And then that's how it yields to the number 6. And I can count this over, or fill this over, and see 5 students sold red and 6 students sold pink out of my 8 total students. So that's using the count function. Now let's go back here to changing these decimal points here. So I'm just going to select all these 3 cells to affect them all. And if I go to my 1, 2, 3 for more formats, I can change. That's for dates. That's not what I wanted here. More decimals here. Custom decimals. So how many decimal places do I want to go? Let's say I want to go 1. Hit OK. And so it rounds to the nearest tenth. Okay, so that's a way to show rounding there. If I want to add a comment to, let's say I've shared this spreadsheet with individuals, and we're having a discussion. Maybe we're both looking at the spreadsheet, and so we're writing comments back and forth. Like, do you think maybe you should make the title bigger? I could insert a comment. And I could say, consider increasing the font size, let's say. And then that way, whoever I'm sharing it with would say, oh, that's not a bad idea. Maybe I should consider doing that. And they could, banter back and forth and carry on, just like we do in Google Docs. You could have comments and all that kind of thing. Now, notes or discussion is a little bit different. When you want to add explanation, perhaps, to a cell, for example, here for total sales, let's say that I want to add some explanation or communicate that the plants each sold for $5 or something like that, and that it was a sale at Lowe's or something. I could insert a note, and now that looks a little different than a comment, and that's visible for all to see who look at the spreadsheet, but it's not intended, it's to give further explanation. It's not intended to be something that I want someone to attend to necessarily. It's just to explain a number. So Lowe's sale, $5 each or something like that. And I can click off it. So you can see that when I hover my mouse over it, I can see this. Oh, okay, there was a Lowe's sale. That's why they were selling for $5 each. Up here, I can say, oh, Brenda Hoffman wrote, consider increasing the font size. And that's, the different purposes. A note gives explanation. A comment is, just when you're working on something together, you may want to comment back and forth, just some ideas and things like that. And then the last 2 things I'm going to show you in this lesson are how to create a series. I'm just going to use a new sheet for that. A series is basically a use of the fill handle with common things. So let's say you were going to do days of the week. So we'll do Monday, and you want to fill it. Those are all Mondays. But if you want to make like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or whatever, clear these out of here. You type the first 2. Whoops, get it right here. If you highlight them both, and now the computer understands what you're doing and does all the days of the week. You can do the same thing. So remember how I did that? Let me just go back there and show that to you one more time. So I typed the first 2 values, or the first 2 entries, selected them both, and then used my fill handle. That's telling the computer that's the series. If I have a series of numbers, let's say I have, counting by 3. So I have 3, 6. I can just type 3 and 6, and that's my series. So it'll count by 3s and number automatically. Whoops. Select them both, then use your fill handle. And so it understands the series that you're trying to create. So that's the series function feature. And then the last thing we're going to do is insert. You can insert a picture just like you do in Google Docs. You can add an image in. You go find the image and upload it and choose it and bring it in, and you'll have a picture in your document in no time. And so that's how you're going to add an image in. I'm just going to choose one. And oops. And there we are. And so that, and then you can obviously do things with it. You can edit the image, delete the image, resize it, and so on. Okay, so that is it for this lesson.